Every life is a story, every moment a chapter. Here on Slow English Stories, we pause to listen.
Hello and welcome to Slow English Stories.
We read classic tales in a simple way to help you learn English.
Today's story is about a lonely princess and a deep family secret.
It is a story of sacrifice, magic, and a sister's powerful love. A princess lived a quiet life. She lived in a great stone castle. She had everything a princess could want. She had beautiful dresses and delicious food. She had a soft bed to sleep in. But she was not happy. The castle was large, but it felt empty. Her father was the king. He was a hard man with a face like stone. Her mother, the queen, was always sad. Her eyes were like gray clouds. They were full of a rain that never fell.
The princess had a small silver star on her forehead. It was there from the day she was born. It shone softly. It looked like a tiny piece of the moon. Sometimes she would look in the mirror. She would touch the star and wonder what it meant. She felt a strange loneliness. It was a feeling that a part of her was missing.
One day, she was exploring a quiet part of the castle. She found a locked door. An old key was hidden under a loose floorboard. Her hands trembled. She turned the key in the lock. The door opened with a soft creak. The room inside was small and full of dust.
Sunlight from a high window cut through the darkness. In the light, she saw 12 small white shirts. They were folded neatly on a wooden shelf. They were boys' shirts. They were too small for a man, but they were too big for a baby. She picked one up. It was soft. It smelled of old wood and forgotten years. A feeling of deep sadness washed over her. She did not know why.
She went to her mother. The queen was sitting by a window. She was looking out at the gray sky. The princess held up the small shirt. "Mother," she asked, "whose shirts are these?" The queen looked at the shirt. The rain in her eyes finally began to fall. Tears ran down her face. "My dear child," she whispered. Her voice was shaking. "I can no longer keep this secret from you."
She took her daughter's hand. She led her to another secret room. It was a room the princess had never seen before. It was cold and dark. Along one wall stood 12 small wooden boxes. They were coffins. "Before you were born," the queen said. Her voice was heavy with pain. "I had 12 sons, your brothers. Your father, the king, wanted a daughter. He wanted you to have the kingdom, all of it. He made a terrible decision. He said, if our next child is a girl, the 12 boys must die. She alone will inherit everything."
The princess stared at the empty coffins. Her heart felt like a block of ice in her chest. The queen continued, "I could not let them die. I warned them. I told them to run, to hide in the great forest. I promised to send a signal. A white flag from the highest tower would mean a baby boy was born. Then they could come home. A red flag would mean a girl was born, and they must run far away and never return. The queen closed her eyes. When you were born, with that beautiful star on your forehead, your father ordered the red flag to be raised. Your brothers saw it. They left, and I have not seen them since. These coffins, your father had them made for them.
The princess looked from the coffins to her mother's tear-streaked face. She looked at her own hands. Her life, her kingdom, her father's love, it was all built on her brother's loss. The empty space she had always felt inside her now had a name. It was the space for 12 brothers. A fire started to burn inside her. It was a fire of love and determination. She knew what she had to do.
That night, she packed a small bag. She took the 12 small shirts from the dusty room. Before the sun rose, the castle was still asleep. She slipped out of a small side gate. She walked towards the dark line of the forest. The forest was a different world. It was vast and wild. It was much bigger than her father's kingdom. Tall trees stood like silent giants. Their leaves blocked out the sun. The air was cool. It smelled of damp earth and pine needles.
For days, she walked deeper and deeper into the woods. She ate wild berries. She drank from clear streams. At night, she slept under the stars. The 12 small shirts were her pillow. She was tired and often scared. But the thought of her brothers pushed her forward.
After many days, she felt she could not walk another step. Then she saw it. Through the trees, there was a small cottage. It looked old and strange. It seemed as if it had grown out of the forest floor. Smoke curled from its chimney. She walked slowly towards the door and knocked. A young man opened it. He had kind eyes and a gentle face. He looked at her. He saw the star on her forehead. His eyes grew wide with surprise.
"Who are you?" he asked. His voice was soft. "I am looking for my brothers," she said. "My 12 brothers." Tears filled the young man's eyes. "I am Benjamin," he said. "I am your youngest brother." She began to cry with joy, and so did he. They hugged each other. They were a brother and sister who had been separated for 10 long years.
Benjamin brought her inside. The cottage was simple and rough. It had a long wooden table and 12 chairs. "You must hide," he said urgently. "Our brothers are out hunting." When they saw the red flag all those years ago, their hearts filled with anger. They made a promise. It was a terrible promise to harm any girl they met. They blame a girl for losing their home. He hid her in a small room. Soon, she heard the sound of loud voices and heavy boots.
The 11 other brothers came in. They were big and strong. Their faces were hard from years of living in the wild. They threw their hunting bows on the table. They sat down, tired and hungry. Benjamin waited until they had eaten. Then he said, "I have something to tell you." What would you do if a young girl came to our cottage? The oldest brother's face grew dark. We made a promise, he said in a low voice. We would not show her mercy.
But what if she was kind and beautiful? Benjamin asked. What if she was lost and alone? The brothers looked at each other. Their anger was old, but their hearts were not made of stone. We would not harm a lost child, another brother said. Make your promise to me, Benjamin said. Promise you will not harm the next girl you see. One by one, they all promised.
Then Benjamin opened the door to the small room. The princess stepped out. She stood before them. Her silver star was glowing softly in the dim light. The brothers stared at her. They saw their mother's eyes in her face. They saw the star that the queen had described in her last secret message to them. This was not just any girl. This was their sister. The hardness in their faces melted away. The old anger was washed away by a new wave of love. They stood up and surrounded her. She was their lost princess, their little sister. That day, the family was together again.
They lived happily in the forest cottage. The princess stayed with them. She cleaned their rough home until it shone. She washed their clothes. She cooked them warm meals with herbs from the forest. She brought a gentleness to their hard lives. The brothers protected her and loved her dearly. For the first time, the lonely princess felt she was truly home.
The enchanted cottage had a small garden behind it. In the garden grew 12 tall, white lilies. They were the most beautiful flowers the princess had ever seen. One evening, she wanted to do something special for her brothers. She wanted to make the dinner table beautiful. She went into the garden. She began to pick the flowers, one for each brother. She held the 12 perfect lilies in her arms.
As she plucked the last one from the ground, a strange wind blew. A cold feeling filled the air. She heard a cry from inside the cottage. She ran back, her heart pounding. A terrible magic was happening. Her brothers were changing. Their arms became wings, covered in black feathers. Their bodies grew smaller. In a moment, they were no longer men. They were 12 black ravens. With loud, frightened cries, they flew up from the cottage. They circled once in the sky. Then they flew away over the dark forest.
As they disappeared, the cottage and the garden vanished. The princess was left standing alone in the wild woods. The 12 white lilies were still in her hands. She fell to her knees and cried. A soft voice spoke behind her. "My child, what have you done?" She turned and saw an old woman standing there. Her face was kind but sad. "Why did you pick the flowers?" the old woman said. "Those lilies were your brothers. You have broken the magic that protected them. Now they are ravens."
"Can I save them?" the princess cried. "Is there any way?" "There is one way," the old woman said. "But it is very, very hard. You must be silent for 7 years. You cannot speak and you cannot laugh. If you say a single word, Even 1 hour before the 7 years are over, your brothers will die. That one word will kill them. 7 years of silence felt like a lifetime. But the princess looked at the lilies in her hand. She thought of her brothers, lost and changed because of her. Her love was stronger than her fear. She looked at the old woman and nodded her head. She would do it. She would save them.
From that day on, she did not speak. She found a large hollow tree. She made it her home. She spent her days spinning thread. Her hands were always busy. Her mind was always on her brothers. The seasons changed. The snows of winter came and went. The green leaves of summer returned. She lived a quiet, lonely life. She held her promise in the silence of her heart.
One day, a king was hunting in the forest. His dogs led him to the hollow tree. There, he saw the beautiful young woman, spinning silently. He saw the silver star on her forehead. He was enchanted by her beauty and her quiet grace. He spoke to her, but she did not answer. He asked her name. She only looked at him with her sad, serious eyes.
He fell in love with her. "Will you be my wife?" he asked. She could not say yes, but she looked at him and slowly nodded her head. The king took her back to his castle. They were married in a grand ceremony. The king loved his new queen very much. This was true even though she never spoke and never laughed. He was kind and patient. For a few years they were happy.
But the king's mother was a wicked woman. She did not trust the silent queen. "Why does she not speak?" she would whisper to her son. "She is not a real queen. She is a beggar girl from the forest. People who do not laugh have a dark secret. She is a witch." At first, the king did not believe his mother's cruel words. He loved his wife. But the old woman was persistent. Every day, she planted more seeds of doubt in his mind. She told lies. She said the silent queen was doing evil things in secret.
The queen could not defend herself. She could not speak the truth. She had to protect her brothers. So she remained silent. She was silent even as the king's heart slowly turned against her. Finally, the king's mother convinced him. He was weak. His mother's words were strong. With tears in his eyes, he agreed that his wife must be a witch. He ordered her to be burned.
They built a great fire in the castle courtyard. They tied the queen to a tall wooden post. The king stood and watched. His face was wet with tears. He still loved her, but he was too weak to save her. The queen did not cry out. She did not struggle. She looked up at the sky. Her heart was calm. She had kept her promise. She counted the days in her mind. Today, this very hour, this very moment was the end of the 7 years.
The guards lit the fire. The flames began to lick at the dry wood. The heat grew stronger. A flame touched the bottom of her dress. Just then, a whirring sound filled the air. It was the sound of many powerful wings. Everyone looked up. 12 huge black ravens were flying towards the castle. They flew down from the sky. They landed together in the courtyard.
The moment their feet touched the earth, a miracle happened. The black feathers disappeared. The birds were gone. In their place stood 12 tall, handsome young men. It was her 12 brothers. The curse was broken. They ran to the fire. They ripped the burning wood apart. They stamped out the flames. They cut the ropes that held their sister. They took her in their arms, safe at last.
The 7 years were over. The princess looked at her husband, the king. She opened her mouth. For the first time in 7 long years, her voice returned. "My dear husband," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. She told him everything. She told him of her father's decree. She told of her long search in the forest. She told of the 12 lilies. And she told of her difficult vow of silence.
The king listened, his heart filled with shame and wonder. He finally understood the truth. He saw the great strength and love of his wife. He fell to his knees. He asked her to forgive him for his weakness. The wicked mother-in-law was punished for her evil lies. The king took his queen back into the castle. Her 12 brothers came to live with them. The great stone halls were no longer quiet and empty. They were filled with laughter and love. The family was finally whole. It was healed by a sister's sacrifice. And it was healed by a love that was more powerful than any curse.
That was our story for today.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Join us again for another story, told slowly and clearly.
Thank you for listening to the Slow English Stories channel.